is CTV. Don't blink.
In the headlines tonight,
and the application is hereby dismissed.
The General Court Martial sitting at Makinde has declined to grant bail to 32 National Unity Platform members who are facing charges of unlawful possession of firearms.
I think we are telling them on how to manage the environment around them.
After devastating 2 years of COVID-19 pandemic, the tourism sector is suffering yet another setback following the outbreak of the Ebola virus in Uganda.
So want Uganda to be given an opportunity, not only the foreigners.
Also, members of Uganda Parliamentary Caucus want the Local Government Act amended to improve service delivery in various parts of the country. And in sports, Maroons FC failed to go to the summit of the StarTimes Uganda Premier League table after playing to a goalless draw with Wakiso Giants at the Luzira Prison grounds. Hello there, good evening and welcome to CTV PM Edition. My name is Aggie Oase with Isaac Luchamzi on Sign Language. Today is Tuesday, the 11th of October 2022. I hope you had a great day. Kickstarting off tonight's edition, the General Court Martial in Makinde has declined to grant bail to 32 National Unity Platform members who are facing charges of unlawful possession of firearms. The chairman of the court, Brigadier General Freeman Robert Mugabe, has dismissed the suspect's bail application and said that the applicants failed to present substantial sureties and are likely to interfere with investigations.
On various occasions, the 32 National Unity Platform supporters have appeared before the March India-based General Court Martial to apply for bail on the offence of unlawful possession of firearms against them. The suspects were arrested in May last year. When Lieutenant General Andrew Gutu was the chairman of the court, the accused applied for bail, where they presented their members of parliament as sureties. However, court found the MPs not substantial and directed them to use their family members. When they appeared before Brigadier Freeman Mugabe, the new chairman of court, the 32 NUP supporters applied for bail through their lawyer George Musisi on grounds that it is their constitutional right to apply for bail. They presented sureties who are their relatives. However, prosecution led by Lieutenant Colonel Raphael Mugisha objected to their bail application, saying they would interfere with investigations. After listening to all submissions, Brigadier Mugabe declined to grant them bail.
Accordingly, this court declines to grant bail to the applicants and the application is hereby dismissed.
Brigadier Mugabe said that the accused persons failed to satisfy court with the necessary conditions for bail.
That the offence is of a serious nature. That the sureties presented were not substantial. That the applicants did not prove that they have fixed places of abode. That the applicants are not likely to interfere with investigations and witnesses.
However, Mugabe urged prosecution to speed up with investigations for an expeditious trial. After the verdict, several relatives of the suspects wept.
Mu wiki emu tata navayo naye tonanga nesyo nayo nelaba ye natavayo kugamba nti no bakiro nekino namulinyisa n'amadaala naye abaana abafa abatalina musango. Nze mama wange yafa lwa pressure ne muzika omwana wa muganda wange yafa ne muzika ne muganda wange ali mukomera atalina musango. Obulumi bwe tulina bw'amaanyi nali lubuto nentambula nga lwakagwamu omwana muzadde ndi ku kintu kyekimu bannange kimala batubuulire ekisembayo
bya ID tuzireese mutulabye LC1 leta tuzireese bazikonyemu sitampu ekitegeeza sitampu ze bawa aba LC1 tebabeesiga.
Nze ndi mukazi munaku nga bwondaba ate ndi muzzukulu wo tuyambe ote bazzukulu bo
batege tuwulira nnaku banakiina obulumi omwana wange afiiridde mukomera lwaki afiirayo nze tata wange ali muno jjajjange ali muno omwanange jjajjawe ali muno ne kitaawe ali muno badde baafiira muno ŋŋenda kulagawa ŋŋenda kudduka nga ndagawa.
The suspect's lawyers expressed dissatisfaction in the prolonged detention of their clients and the reluctance of courts on trying civilians in the court-martial.
This ruling on bail should have been made probably 5 months ago or 6 months ago. But we have endured a lot of frustrations, and unfortunately, the ruling itself is as frustrating as the process that you have gone through to come to where we are today.
The same court which is saying this now has granted bail previously to most of our other supporters who are here using the same documents and other things. So how can they now refuse to give bail to these our people whose crime was just supporting NUP and Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi?
Some of the suspects include Rashid Seguja, Yasin Sechitoleko, Olivia Lutaya, Ibrahim Wandela, among others. These were allegedly found in possession of firearms between November 2020 and May 2021 in different parts of the country. Flavian Nkuze for CTV PM Edition.
The Health Minister, Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng, has confirmed the first Ebola death in Kampala, a patient who died at Kirudu Referral Hospital. According to the minister, the victim is the 19th victim in the current outbreak of the deadly virus, but the first to die in Kampala. Now, the minister also revealed that Uganda has 54 confirmed cases after the discharge of the 5 health workers who tested negative. Let's take a look.
Today, the Minister for Health, Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng, was in Entebbe at the National Isolation Center, where she had gone to officiate at the discharge of the Ebola patients who have been receiving treatment.
We thank God for your life.
According to the minister, Uganda so far has had 54 confirmed cases with 20 recoveries, including 5 medics who were discharged today.
Heroes who are sitting here today. It is so nice to see you out. It makes all of us emotional that you have come out of isolation into the open. We thank God.
Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng also addressed the nation on the cases of Ebola patient who died in Kampala, revealing that their situation has since been contained.
But we had a case that moved through to Kampala and unfortunately died in Kirudu Hospital. That was on the 7th and was buried in Mubende. Now this gentleman was a contact who had been listed.
Dr. Acheng says Ugandans should not panic because there are no new confirmed Ebola cases in Kampala, although the city and the surrounding districts are being considered high-risk areas.
Are we worried that another case may appear in Kampala? Yes, that is why we keep on alert, because we know anytime somebody may appear.
While discharging the health workers, Minister cautioned them against sex. No effective Ebola vaccine is available yet because the Sudan strain circulating in central Uganda is different from the Zaire strain that affiliated West Africa and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Shamim Natebo Wetendo, CTV, Pemwe.
Now, the tourism sector is suffering yet another setback following the outbreak of the Ebola virus in Uganda. The recent outbreak of the deadly virus also comes at a time when the country has just recovered from the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, the State Minister for Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, Martin Bahinduka Mugara, spoke out on what government is doing to manage the situation.
Tourism is one of Uganda's biggest foreign exchange earner, ranking in over $1 billion annually, but that all changed when the COVID-19 pandemic took the whole world by storm in 2020. Ever since the COVID-19 lockdown was lifted in January this year, the tourism sector has been fighting hard to return to its old glory. However, there are fears that recent Ebola outbreak might affect the sector. According to the State Minister of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities Martin Bahinduka Mugara, even with the current outbreak of Ebola, Uganda is still a safe tourist destination for both local and international tourists.
Most of the international players within this country actually involved in the fight against Ebola currently. So they have first-hand information. And that's why we are saying that Ebola is not like COVID. Ebola is a disease that you get through contact. And you can only get it from a person that is already showing the symptoms. Even when someone has it and they're not showing the symptoms yet, it is a different scenario.
Minister Mugara says Uganda can also manage the Ebola virus since it has previously contained similar cases.
Uganda has had an experience in containing Ebola. I believe this will be contained. And we've not had any case of any foreign traveler affected. I think we are telling them on how to manage the environment around them, but also try to provide the necessary information and security to guarantee their safety.
Ugandans have also been urged to embrace domestic tourism as a fallback plan in case of an outbreak.
In a scenario where there are cancellations and there is a reduction in the number of tourists that are coming into the country, then there will be a problem. And that's why I keep saying that in such scenarios, Ugandans should be able to come in and fill the gap and travel domestically. And the numbers have been good. I've been saying this time and again. The number of people visiting our tourist destinations in this country are the same as those of the foreigners. That's something that has not been seen before.
The minister today also launched the Ekula Pearl of Africa Awards and Exhibitions, which aim at recognizing excellence in the tourism sector.
Our call for quality assurance is because quality assurance enhances the work structure of the sector. It adds more value to the travel sector. It facilitates with the ISO certification, which covers almost everything, including technology, food safety, increased tourism, and improved healthcare.
The awards that started in 2014 are slated to take place on the 1st of December 2022, with over 20 categories up for award nominations. Kevin Kasoma, CTV, PM Edition.
The Uganda Revenue Authority has effective today introduced a new 40% pay-as-you-earn tax for persons who have more than 2 jobs. Now this, according to the Commissioner General URA, John Musinguzi, is meant to help the stakeholders file returns. The tax will affect persons earning 10 million shillings and above.
The Commissioner General Uganda Revenue Authority, John Musinguzi Rujoki, was among the many stakeholders that have appeared before the Parliamentary Committee on Trade today morning. While the discussion centered on the newly announced 10% import duty and 18% value-added tax that was slapped on the imported concentrates used to mix poultry feeds, Musinguzi was put to task to explain the pay-as-you-earn increment from 30% to 40%. He says the tax will not affect everyone except those whose salaries are in a particular bracket.
We are trying to make easy payment of payee for people who have more than 1 job. The law allows us to collect payee based on the total income.
According to Musinguzi, this is meant to ease the process of filing returns by the people with more than 2 jobs.
So what we had was a template that would not allow someone who, when collectively they are earning enough money that would put them in the highest band of 40%. So we had a template that was limiting them to 30%. What we've done, we have amended that template to allow them declare the income from multiple sources as long as it qualifies for the highest band to pay the highest rate of 40%.
URA is mandated to collect nearly half of this financial year's budget funds. This comes at a time the tax base is increasing. The Commissioner General revealed that the revenue register has close to 3 million taxpayers.
We're expanding the tax base, but also when you get people on the register, they don't all immediately begin to pay tax. There is a process you take them through as you educate them, as you teach them how to file, as you assess their incomes. There is a full onboarding program. So some of them have gone on the tax register, but they've not yet started contributing their fair share of tax.
The recent 10% import duty and the 18% value-added tax slapped on the imported concentrate feeds for poultry is meant to ensure that URA meets its targets. The importers have since protested the tax, saying it will increase the prices of poultry products. These want Parliament to revise the levy.
But again, you've heard from the Committee of Parliament, when Parliament gives guidance on this matter, it is an administrative decision. They can decide that the tax will be effective going forward, or so it is, for the letter of indemnity, it is what is administratively prudent on our part, because we cannot continue breaking the law after knowing that there is a gap, and we can also not charge. So we just ask for a letter of undertaking.
The Trade Committee is expected to conclude its report by the end of next week. Ramson Muhire, CTV PM Edition.
CTV PM Edition takes a short break, but we'll be right back with more news, so stay with us.
The Campus Carnival is finally here! Campuses from over 20 universities and 50 institutes all in one place for a 2-day
And thanks so much for staying with us. Still watching CTV PM Edition with me, Agi Oase, and Isaac Luchamzi in sign language. Now moving on, the Uganda Parliamentary Caucus is calling for reforms in the Local Government Act to help improve service delivery. According to the caucus, the best way to achieve success is through decentralization. Let's take a look.
Members of the Uganda Parliamentary Caucus, including the leader of opposition, today held a strategic meeting chaired by the chairperson of the caucus, Mwanga Chivumbi, to discuss crucial matters. After the meeting, the chairperson of the caucus and the Utambala County MP revealed to journalists that members had agreed to have government reinstate the regional government system to help regional administration units.
We have addressed inequality in resource distribution, especially when you flag off the parish development model. You realize that in the parish development model, Central Region is going to receive the least amount of money, despite having the largest population, simply because our parishes are few, our sub-counties are too big, and we have a huge population. Regions with a relatively smaller number of people are going to get huge amounts of billions of shillings. So what we are going to do, one, we are going to push government again to consider allocating resources in accordance to the population density.
On the issue of value addition on coffee, Chivumbi says ordinary Ugandans deserve to make the right choice for themselves.
We want the government to understand, and the president, we are not against value addition. We cannot be that stupid or that silly to make a case against value addition. We want our coffee to earn the highest pay we could get on international market and on local market. What we are making a case for, we need fair competition. We need a well-regulated...
Actually, we want our natural Ugandans to take...
We also want Ugandans to be given an opportunity. Not only foreigners.
Members of the Uganda Parliamentary Caucus also want the central government to start stipulating a specific percentage of tax in some regions.
We develop a better form of power devolution, like it is in neighboring Kenya, and ensure that there is meaningful, statutory, constitutional sharing of revenues. Not these local revenues. I'm not making a case for revenues from tomatoes. I'm saying from minerals as collected by URA. So that in the arrangement, monies that are supposed to support to go for local government are statutory by a percentage. But the current arrangement strongly centralizes power and resources at the center. That's why there is abuse.
The caucus has also resolved to form a leaders forum to advocate for the interests of the Uganda region, especially when it comes to handling controversial land matters. Sarah Nakandi for CTV PM Edition.
The International Day of the Girl Child is commemorated each year on the 11th of October to empower and amplify the voices of the girl child. Today, CTV spoke to the State Minister for Youth and Children Affairs in the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development to hear what government is doing to support the girl child.
Uganda, as a country, has one of the youngest people in the world, with the youths below the age of 35 constituting over 70% of the population. The young population is also constituted of young women who face immense challenges such as unemployment, rise in teenage pregnancies, and the increasing school dropout rate, which all need to be addressed. In an interview with CTV on the International Day of the Girl Child, the State Minister in charge of Youths and Children Affairs in the Gender Ministry, Sarah Mateke, revealed that there is still need to reflect on the challenges affecting the girl child.
At the negative social culture norms and values. For example, we have had parents who secretly want to marry off their girls. Somebody has been defiled by a relative, you want to hide and make sure that this girl is married off because you're expecting something back. Those are some of the negative social culture norms and values which really put us back.
According to the minister, who we found in her office this morning, poverty is the main root causes of the problem.
Of course, we cannot leave out the issue of poverty. Poverty is one of the the reasons that most of our girls end up even dropping out in school. Because if the girl goes to school and the parents are unable to provide even for exercise books for all the subjects that she's going to study. I had a scenario recently where I went to a primary school, and I found the child with only one exercise book. And in this exercise book is where the child is writing all the 4 subjects.
On the negative impacts of the 2-year COVID-19 pandemic lockdown, which saw an increase in domestic violence and teenage pregnancies, the minister says school-going children should be given an opportunity to complete their education after giving birth.
We look at the teenage pregnancy. Of course, this was exacerbated during COVID-19, where most of our girls got challenges of getting pregnant at that early age. That is one of the setbacks that, or one of the gaps that we have. But we have always encouraged that we can also give them a second chance, since our First Lady and Mama had pushed and launched this, that we should give the girls a second chance. After they have given birth and they have breastfed, they can be given a chance to go back to school and start afresh. And we have always encouraged parents that that giving birth does not mean that is the end of the world of the girl.
International Day of the Girl Child is an annual and internationally recognized observance on October 11th that empowers girls and amplifies their voices. This year's theme celebration is Our Time is Now, Our Rights, Our Responsibilities, Our Future. Chris Samakula and Sharon Twebaze, CTV PM Edition.
In our regional news tonight, a Guinean court which is trying Moussa Dadis Camara, the former president of Guinea, and a dozen co-accused for the September 28, 2009 massacre has decided to keep him in jail for the duration of his trial, while the United Nations and the Red Cross have warned that heat waves will become extreme in certain regions of the world. The Guinean court that is trying Moussa Dadis Camara and a dozen co-accused for the September 28, 2009 massacre decided Monday to keep him in jail for the duration of his trial and to reject his placement under house arrest. The court rejected all other requests made by the defense lawyers at the opening of this historic trial on the anniversary of September 28th. It decided that the hearings on the merit of the case and the questioning of the defendants could begin. The prosecution had imprisoned the defendants who were still free on the eve of the trial, including Captain Camara, who had been living in exile in Burkina Faso and had returned a few days earlier. Heat waves are expected to become more extreme in certain regions of the world within decades that human life there will be unsustainable, the United Nations and the Red Cross have warned. Heat waves are predicted to exceed human physiological and social limits in the Sahel, the Horn of Africa, and South and Southwest Asia, with extreme events triggering large-scale suffering and loss of lives. Heatwave catastrophes this year in countries like Somalia and Pakistan foreshadowed a future with deadlier, more frequent, and more intense heat-related humanitarian emergencies, they warned in a joint report. The UN's Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs and the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies released the report in advance of the next month United Nations COP27 Climate Change Summit in Egypt. And elsewhere in the world, the International Monetary Fund has warned that prices will be worse in the UK, while at least one woman was reportedly killed as protesters clashed with police in Haitian cities on Monday as anger boils. Let's take a look. The International Monetary Fund has criticized the United Kingdom Chancellor's mini-budget again, just days after warning it will fuel the cost of living crisis. The body, which works to create global financial stability, admitted tax cuts announced by Kwasi Kwarteng would lift economic growth in the short term. But it said the cuts would complicate the fight against rising prices. It warned that for many people, 2023 will feel like a recession, which costs spiraling even further. Economic growth in the United Kingdom is set to grind to the near halt next year, growing by 0.3%. At least one woman was reportedly killed as protesters clashed with police in Haitian cities. Police on Monday confronted demonstrators as anti-government protests descended into looting. Anger has been boiling over as gang violence has spiraled out of control, disrupting shipments of fuel and food as well. Prime Minister Ariel Henry has said for foreign assistance, but the call has been criticized by some Haitians who see it as a foreign interference. In the capital Port-au-Prince, protesters erected burning barricades out of tires and threw stones at police, who in turn fired tear gas. Some protesters proceeded to loot a hotel, and a group of people stole a fridge from a hotel during a protest. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back with news from the world of sports. Do stay with us.
Sometimes in life, we spend all the time trying to live other people's life. And along the way, we lose who we are by copying what other people are doing in their relationship.
You see, from the last time I met your sister, I've not spent a day or a minute without thinking about her.
It's a good surprise on a Monday. This is nice.
So you and him are
we're just friends. Wow. Come on.
Just friends. You either tell me where you're from or you go back to where you've been.
Thinking it would work out for us, but yet to find out that's not who we are after experiencing a great disappointment.
She's in love with some other man, so classy, a gentleman, not poor dogs like you.
These are the mistakes girls do.
Now showing on CTV. Don't blink. CTV is now on StarTimes. You can now catch all your favorite programs, our daily comprehensive news bulletins, and so much more on StarTimes channel number 248. Stay tuned for a world of endless possibilities. CTV. Don't blink.
Welcome back. You're still watching CTV PM edition. Now moving on to the world of sports. Maroons FC failed to go top of the StarTimes Uganda Premier League after playing to a goalless draw with Wakiso Giants at Luzira Prison Grounds. The newly appointed Maroons remain unbeaten after 3 games and are in second position on 5 points.
On match day 3 of the Saturdays Uganda Premier League, Maroons Football Club failed to go top after a goalless draw with Wakiso Giants at the Luzira Prisons ground. Maroons, who returned to the top flight this season, utilized their home advantage in the first half as they saw more of the ball and created more opportunities, but none were enough to put the ball in the back of the net before the break. Wakiso Giants, who were in search for their first points this season, were a different side in the second half as they created chance after chance to take the lead, but were denied by Maroons custodian Tamale Simon, who was the man of the match with the game ending 0-0. A point for Maroons keeps them in second, a point behind Bull Football Club, who have 6 points. Wakiso Giants, who got their first point this season, also remain in 13th after 2 games following their 3-2 opening defeat to KCCA FC. Maroons are on the road in their next league fixture as they play on Duparaka on October 22nd, while Wakiso Giants entertain Busoga United on the 21st. In the other game today, Soltilo Bright Stars managed to get a 1-1 draw against Rockbottom Black Power. This was a 3rd consecutive draw for Bright Stars, who remain in 9th on the log. Tomorrow, Gaddafi entertain on Duparaka as UPDF hosts Busoga United. Noah Walakira, CTV, PM Edition.
We've come to the end of CTV PM Edition.